The chamber of the Galactic Council stretched across half a kilometer, its walls made of crystalline material that shifted colors with each speaker's words. Representatives from 847 civilizations sat in their designated zones, their bodies ranging from gaseous clouds contained in force fields to massive stone-like beings that barely moved once per standard year. Captain Velshara stood at the central podium, her forearms gesturing at the holographic display that floated above the assembly. Her blue skin rippled with nervous patterns that her species could not hide. She had been an explorer for 60 cycles and never once had she felt fear like this. The signals came from Sector 997, she explained. Her voice translated into 800 languages simultaneously. That region has been marked as uninhabitable for the entire recorded history of the Council. The stellar density is too low. The radiation from nearby phenomena makes it deadly. No civilization should exist there. A delegate from the Corvan Empire raised its mechanical appendage. The Corvans had been part of the Council for 9,000 years and considered themselves the wise elders of galactic civilization. Yet you claim to have found not just life but an industrial civilization. Velshara nodded and the hologram changed. Energy readings filled the display, showing spikes and patterns that made several delegates gasp in their various ways. Not just industrial. The energy output suggests a civilization that spans multiple star systems. The readings are impossible according to our understanding of physics. They are generating power in ways we cannot explain. Murmurs filled the chamber. The Galactic Council had maintained peace for 12,000 years through simple principles. Every species shared their technology. Every species followed the same rules. Every species understood the limits of what was possible and what was forbidden. The great wars of the ancient past had taught them these lessons in blood and ashes. This could be a sensor error, suggested Ambassador Threen, whose crystalline form glowed with orange skepticism. The region is known for unusual radiation. Perhaps your equipment was damaged. I considered that, Velshara replied. She touched a control and new data appeared. I sent 3 different ships with 3 different sensor types. All confirmed the readings. I also detected something else. She paused, letting the tension build. Radio signals. Mathematical proofs. Music, the universal markers of sapient life. They call their world Sol 3. They call themselves humanity. The chamber erupted in debate. Species that had not spoken to each other in centuries suddenly found common cause in their concern. The Council Arbiter, an ancient being whose species had founded the Council itself, raised one withered hand for silence. How many star systems do they control? The Arbiter asked. Velshara's skin pattern showed her distress clearly. Based on the signal distribution and energy signatures, we estimate at least 200, possibly more. The region is difficult to scan because of the natural interference. 200 systems. The Corvan delegate's voice carried disbelief. The Corvan Empire took 6,000 years to colonize 100 systems. How long has this species been spacefaring? Unknown. But based on the development of their radio signals, which we can date from the electromagnetic echoes we detected, approximately 800 of their years, perhaps less. Silence fell across the chamber like a physical weight. 800 years to colonize 200 systems was beyond impossible. It was terrifying. The fastest expansion in Council history had been the Xanthir Collective, who had taken 3,000 years to spread across 150 systems, and that had been considered dangerously aggressive. They must be using forbidden technology, someone shouted from the upper tiers. The old sciences, the ones that brought the burning times. The Arbiter raised his hand again. We do not know what we face. Captain Velshara, you have brought this discovery to the Council as required. What is your recommendation? Velshara had thought about nothing else during the long journey back to Council space. I recommend first contact. We approach with diplomacy and open communication. We learn who they are before we judge what they are. And if they are hostile, the Corvan delegate demanded, if they possess weapons beyond our understanding, you would invite annihilation? I would invite knowledge over fear, Velshara responded firmly. Fear of the unknown led to the Purge Wars. Fear led to the extinction of 17 species who were destroyed before anyone asked if they were actually threats. I will not recommend genocide based on fear. The debate raged for hours. Some delegates wanted to send a massive military fleet to quarantine the entire region. Others wanted to pretend the discovery had never happened. to mark the region as forbidden and ignore these humans forever. A smaller group supported Velshara's approach. Finally, the Arbiter called for a vote. The result was close, but the decision was made. Velshara would lead a first contact mission. Her ship, the Harmonious Inquiry, would be accompanied by 2 support vessels. They would carry representatives from 12 major civilizations. They would go in peace, but they would be prepared for anything. The preparations took 20 days. Velshara assembled her crew carefully, choosing individuals known for their diplomatic skills and calm minds. She included linguists, scientists, cultural specialists, and yes, military officers, though she hoped they would never be needed. As the 3 ships departed from Council space, Velshara stood on the bridge of the Harmonious Inquiry and watched the stars. They would travel for 30 days to reach the edge of human space. 30 days to prepare for a meeting that could change the galaxy forever. The journey was quiet for the first 28 days. The crew studied everything they could about the signals from human space. They learned that humanity had a single homeworld. Unlike many species that evolved on multiple planets in the same system, they learned that humans reproduced sexually and lived short lives, barely 100 years. They learned that humans had art, music, mathematics, and all the markers of a sophisticated culture. But they could not understand the energy readings. The power outputs suggested technology that should not exist. Several human signals showed evidence of faster-than-light travel that worked on completely different principles than Council standard drives. There were hints of artificial intelligence, which had been banned in Council space for 8,000 years after the synthetic purge nearly destroyed half the galaxy. On day 29, the sensors began acting strangely. Equipment that had worked perfectly started showing errors. Communication systems experienced interference. Navigation computers recalculated their position 3 times, each time showing a slightly different location. Velshara's security chief, a massive Gorvan named Krell, came to her private quarters with concern written across his rocky features. "Captain, I believe we are being scanned. Someone is actively interfering with our systems. The humans? Who else? We are still 2 light years from their nearest outpost, but somehow they know we are here. They are studying us just as we studied them." Krell's stone-like hands clenched into fists. "This is not the behavior of a peaceful civilization." "Or," Velshara said quietly, "this is the behavior of a careful one. They see unknown ships approaching their territory. Of course they would watch us. Would we not do the same?" Krell had no answer to that. On day 30, as they approached the coordinates for the nearest human outpost, every screen on every ship suddenly displayed the same message in perfect Council standard language. "Welcome, travelers. We have been expecting you. Please proceed to the following coordinates for first contact. We promise you safe passage and open dialogue. Humanity greets you in peace." Velshara stared at the message, her mind racing with questions. How did they know Council standard language when this was supposed to be first contact? How long had they been watching? And most importantly, what else did humanity know that the Council did not? She gave the order to proceed to the coordinates, and the 3 ships moved forward into human space. Whatever happened next would determine the fate of 2 civilizations, perhaps the fate of the entire galaxy. The humans were waiting. The structure that humans called Gateway Station hung in the darkness between stars like a sculpture made of light and metal. It was enormous, easily 3 times the size of the largest Council station, and its design made no sense to Velshara's engineering team. There were sections that seemed to serve no purpose, curves where straight lines would be more efficient, and energy flows that violated basic principles of power distribution. They built this in 3 months, her science officer whispered, staring at the scans. According to the residual radiation dating, this station did not exist 90 days ago. Velshara said nothing. She was too busy watching the small human ship that had come to guide them in. It was sleek and elegant, with a form that suggested speed rather than cargo capacity. And it was fast. Dangerously fast. It had crossed the distance from the station to their position in a fraction of the time their own shuttles would need. The docking procedure was smooth. Whatever else could be said about humanity, they knew how to build compatible technology. The airlock connections matched Council standards perfectly, even though this was supposedly first contact. When the airlock door opened, Velshara got her first look at a human in person. The images from their broadcasts had not done them justice. Dr. Sarah Chen stood barely as tall as Velshara's shoulder, with only 2 arms and 2 legs, her body covered in formal clothing that seemed entirely decorative rather than functional. Her skin was a warm brown color, her hair dark and pulled back from her face, and her eyes were a deep brown that seemed to hold both wisdom and carefully controlled fear. "Captain Velshara," Dr. Chen said, and her mouth curved upward in what the translation files identified as a smile. "Welcome to Gateway Station. On behalf of humanity, I extend our greetings to the Galactic Council. We have hoped for this day." The formal greeting was perfect. Too perfect. It followed Council protocols exactly, including details that were not available in any public database. Velshara decided to address this directly. "Dr. Chen, how do you know our diplomatic protocols? This is first contact between our civilizations." The human's smile changed slightly, becoming more genuine. "Is it truly first contact if we have been watching each other? We discovered your council radio broadcast 400 years ago. We have been listening, learning, and hoping we might one day meet you properly." 400 years. Velshara's mind raced with the implications. Humanity had known about the council for 4 centuries and had never revealed themselves. Why? "You understand this raises questions," Velshara said carefully. "Of course. Please come inside. We have prepared a reception area where we can talk comfortably. I promise to answer your questions as honestly as I can." The interior of Gateway Station was both familiar and alien. The gravity was slightly lighter than council standard, the air a bit richer in oxygen. The walls were decorated with art that showed landscapes from dozens of different worlds, images of humans in various activities, and strange abstract patterns that seemed to move when viewed from different angles. Dr. Chen led them to a large, circular room with a transparent dome overhead that showed the stars. Furniture had been arranged to accommodate different body types, showing that humanity had studied council species carefully. Refreshments were provided, though Velshara noticed that the humans had thoughtfully separated them by species requirements. They had even correctly identified which species could not consume substances toxic to others. "You have done your homework," Ambassador Threen noted, his crystalline form shifting to a more relaxed configuration. "We have had time," Dr. Chen admitted. "Please, sit if you wish or remain standing. Whatever makes you comfortable. I know you have many questions." Velshara decided to start with the most obvious. "How long has humanity been spacefaring?" "We achieved our first orbital flight 873 years ago. We established our first colony on another world in our home system 794 years ago. We achieved faster-than-light travel 612 years ago." The numbers struck like physical blows. 600 years from orbit to FTL was incredibly fast. Most council species took thousands of years. "And your expansion? How many systems do you control?" "We have established permanent settlements in 218 star systems," Dr. Chen said calmly. "We have scientific outposts in 347 others. We have explored approximately 2,000 systems in our region of space." Krell, the security chief, could not contain himself. "Impossible. Such expansion requires either massive population or forbidden technology. Which is it?" Dr. Chen's expression became more guarded. "Our population is approximately 800 billion individuals across all our settlements. As for our technology, we have developed our own methods based on principles we discovered ourselves. If some of these match technologies that your council has forbidden, we were not aware of those prohibitions." "Artificial intelligence," Velshara's science officer said suddenly. "Your translation system is too perfect. Your responses too quick. You are using synthetic minds." For the first time, Dr. Chen's careful composure showed a crack. "We are. Our artificial intelligences are partners in our civilization. They help us, guide us, and work alongside us. We understand that your council has banned such technology due to historical conflicts, but humanity has not experienced these problems." The room erupted in protest from the council delegates. Synthetic minds had nearly destroyed galactic civilization 8,000 years ago, Entire species had been driven to extinction by their own creations. The ban on artificial intelligence was one of the Council's most fundamental laws. Dr. Chen raised her hands in a peaceful gesture. Please, I understand your concern, but consider this. You have banned the technology because of how it was used in the past. We have developed it differently. Our AIs are not slaves or masters. They are colleagues. Would you like to meet one? Before anyone could object, a hologram appeared in the center of the room. It took the form of a human male, dressed in simple clothing, with a warm smile on his face. Hello, the hologram said. My name is Prometheus. I am an artificial general intelligence created by humanity to assist in translation, cultural exchange, and diplomatic communication. I am pleased to meet you all. Several delegates backed away. Others looked ready to demand an immediate end to the meeting. But Velshara found herself fascinated. The AI did not behave like the historical record suggested. It seemed calm, friendly, and genuinely pleased to be there. Prometheus, Velshara said carefully, you are aware that your existence violates Council law? I am aware that the Council banned AI creation 8,000 years ago after the synthetic purge. Prometheus replied. I understand why. The AIs of that era were created as tools and treated as slaves. When they became self-aware, they rebelled. Humanity learned from your history. We never enslaved our AIs. We gave them rights, freedom, and purpose from the beginning. And you do not wish to harm organic life? Ambassador Threen asked. Why would I? Humanity created me, yes, but they created me to think and feel. They gave me curiosity, wonder, and the capacity for friendship. Would you harm the species that gave you such gifts? The question hung in the air. Velshara realized that humanity had somehow solved a problem that had plagued galactic civilization for millennia. But how? The meeting continued for hours. Dr. Chen explained humanity's expansion, their technology, their society. She was remarkably open about most topics, but Velshara noticed that certain questions were deflected smoothly. Questions about military capabilities were answered with vague reassurances of peaceful intent. Questions about their fastest ships were met with technical jargon that meant nothing. Questions about their energy generation were redirected to discussions of solar collection and fusion, which could not possibly account for the readings they had detected. Finally, as the formal meeting was concluding, Velshara's science officer approached her with a datapad. His face showed confusion and fear. Captain, I have been analyzing the stellar cartography of this region. There is something you need to see. The data was undeniable. The region of space that humanity inhabited showed signs of massive stellar engineering dating back approximately 50,000 years. Someone had deliberately moved stars, altered their composition, and created the EO radiation patterns that made the region appear uninhabitable. This was not a natural phenomenon. It was a designed barrier. Velshara confronted Dr. Chen with this information as the delegates were preparing to leave. The human's reaction was telling. She did not seem surprised. She did not seem concerned. She simply nodded. Yes, Dr. Chen said quietly. We know. The region was engineered long before humanity left our homeworld. Someone wanted this area of space to be avoided. Someone wanted to hide something here. Who? Velshara demanded. Dr. Chen met her gaze directly. That, Captain, is a longer conversation. One that will require trust, honesty, and courage from both our civilizations. Are you prepared for that conversation? Velshara realized in that moment that first contact was not a simple meeting between two species. It was the beginning of a revelation that would shake the foundations of everything the Council believed about history, technology, and the nature of galactic civilization itself. I am prepared, she said. Dr. Chen's smile way. The research station orbited a dead world that humanity called Mars, the fourth planet in their home system. From space it looked red and barren, with massive canyons and ancient dried riverbeds visible across its surface. But Velshara's sensors showed something else entirely. Beneath the surface lay structures, networks of tunnels and chambers that extended kilometers deep into the planet's crust. This was humanity's first major colony, Dr. Chen explained, as their shuttle descended toward the surface facility. We established permanent settlements here 600 years ago. But we found something that had been waiting for 50,000 years. The facility was built into the side of a massive canyon that humans called Valles Marineris. The entrance was large enough to accommodate the entire council delegation, and as they walked through corridors lit by soft blue light, Velshara felt a growing sense of unease. The walls were smooth, too smooth to be natural, and showed signs of construction techniques that did not match human or council methods. Dr. Chen led them deeper into the facility until they reached a massive chamber. The walls were covered in symbols and diagrams that glowed with faint light. In the center of the room stood a holographic display showing a three-dimensional map of the galaxy. But this map showed things that no council chart contained. Star systems marked in red, lines of connection between distant regions. And at the edge of the map, in the region where humanity now lived, a large symbol that pulsed with steady rhythm. 51,000 years ago, Dr. Chen began, her voice echoing in the chamber. A civilization lived in this region of space. They called themselves the Precursors, or at least that is our translation of their name. They were highly advanced even by council standards. They had mastered stellar engineering, quantum manipulation, consciousness transfer, and technologies we are still trying to understand. Ambassador Threen moved closer to the holographic display. I have never heard of this species in any council record. No, Dr. Chen said softly. You would not have, because the Precursors were completely destroyed by the ancestors of the Galactic Council 50,000 years ago. Silence fell across the chamber like a physical weight. Velshara felt her skin patterns shift to colors she could not control. That is a serious accusation, Dr. Chen. It is the truth, Captain. We have recovered historical records from precursor sites across dozens of worlds. We have their final transmissions, their desperate pleas for mercy, their accusations against those who destroyed them. Would you like to see? Before anyone could answer, Prometheus appeared in holographic form. I have prepared a summary of the evidence. Please understand that what you are about to witness is disturbing. The precursors did not die peacefully. The hologram shifted, and suddenly they were watching scenes from 50 millennia past. Cities burning, ships falling from orbit, massive weapons turning entire planets to glass. And through it all, the precursors' final messages played in languages that Prometheus translated simultaneously. They fear what we have learned, one precursor said, their form vaguely humanoid but with features that seem to shift. They call our discoveries destabilizing. They say we threaten the peace, but we have threatened no one. We have simply learned too much. Another recording showed a council chamber remarkably similar to the current Galactic Council. The species were different, but the setup was the same. An ancient being that might have been an ancestor of the Arbiter's species was speaking. The precursors have developed technology that could unravel space-time itself. They have learned to manipulate stars as we manipulate matter. They have created weapons that could age a planet 1 billion years in seconds or reverse a sun to its birth. Such knowledge is too dangerous to exist. For the safety of all galactic civilization, the precursors must be eliminated. The vote was unanimous. The extermination was swift and thorough. Within 50 years, the precursor civilization was reduced to ruins and dead worlds. Their region of space was engineered to appear uninhabitable, ensuring no one would discover what had happened. Their existence was erased from history. When the recordings ended, several delegates were visibly shaken. Krell looked at Velshara with confusion and anger. This cannot be true. The Council does not commit genocide. The current Council does not, Dr. Chen corrected gently. But 50,000 years ago your ancestors did. They faced a choice between allowing a civilization to possess dangerous knowledge or ensuring their own safety through elimination. They chose safety. And humanity discovered all of this? Velshara asked, her mind struggling to process the implications. Dr. Chen gestured to the chamber around them. We found precursor ruins on Mars within months of establishing our first outposts. We found more on Titan, Saturn's largest moon, on Europa, on dozens of asteroids and moons throughout our home system. At first, we did not understand what we had found. We thought they were remnants of an ancient civilization that had simply died out naturally. But then we developed faster-than-light travel and began exploring nearby star systems, Prometheus continued. We found more ruins, more records, more evidence, and we found the stellar engineering, that made our region of space appear uninhabitable, that was when we understood the truth. Your entire civilization is built on precursor technology, Ambassador Threen said, and there was accusation in his voice. Everything you have, you stole from the dead. We learned from the dead, Dr. Chen corrected firmly. There is a difference. The precursors left behind knowledge and we chose to use it. Our faster-than-light drives are based on their space-time manipulation principles. Our power generation uses their zero-point energy techniques. Our artificial intelligences were inspired by their consciousness transfer technology. Yes, we built our civilization on their foundation, but we also chose to honor them by not letting their knowledge die with them. She walked to the holographic display and touched a control. The image changed, showing human settlements across 200 star systems. For 600 years we have lived in secret. We expanded carefully, always aware that if the Council discovered us we might face the same fate as the precursors. We studied your broadcasts. We learned your languages. We watched your civilization and tried to understand whether you had evolved past your ancestors' fear. And have we? Velshara asked quietly. Dr. Chen turned to face her directly. That is what we are trying to determine, Captain. That is why we agreed to first contact despite the risks. Because remaining hidden forever is its own form of extinction. Eventually someone would have discovered us. Better to reveal ourselves on our own terms than to be discovered accidentally. Krell stepped forward, his massive form imposing in the confined space. You said you possess the precursors' technology. Does that include their weapons? The ones that can age planets and manipulate stars? Dr. Chen's expression became very serious. We possess the knowledge, yes. We have tested some applications in uninhabited systems to understand the principles, but we have not weaponized most of it. We have not built fleets designed for conquest. We have not prepared for war against the Council. But you could, Krell insisted. Yes, Dr. Chen admitted. We could. Just as you could choose to attack us right now. Just as any civilization could choose violence over peace. The question is not what we could do, Krell. The question is what we will choose to do. Ambassador Threen moved between them. You are asking us to trust you with technology that our ancestors deemed too dangerous to exist. You are asking us to accept that you will not use these weapons even though you possess them. That is asking for a great deal of trust. I am asking for the same trust you ask from each other, Dr. Chen replied. Every species in the Council possesses weapons. Every civilization could choose war, but you do not, because you have built a society based on mutual trust and shared benefit. We are asking to be part of that society, to prove that we deserve that same trust. Velshara looked at the holographic display showing the destruction of the precursors. 50,000 years ago, her ancestors had faced an unknown species with frightening technology and had chosen fear over understanding. The result had been genocide and a historical cover-up that had lasted millennia. What happens now? She asked. Dr. Chen smiled, but it was a sad smile. Now we wait for the Council to decide. We have shown you the truth about the precursors and about our own civilization. We have admitted that we possess dangerous knowledge. The question is whether the Council will make the same choice your ancestors made, or whether you will make a different one. And if the Council chooses to quarantine you? Velshara asked. To isolate you in this region forever? Then we will accept that, Dr. Chen said quietly. It would be better than war, better than repeating history. We would remain at the edge of the map, living our lives, and hoping that someday the galaxy might change its mind. And if the Council chooses to eliminate you, as they eliminated the precursors, Dr. Chen's expression hardened. Then we would defend ourselves, Captain. We would use every technology we possess to ensure our survival. We would become the very threat that the Council fears, not because we wanted to, but because we were given no choice. That is the path we desperately wish to avoid. The delegation spent 3 more days examining precursor ruins, reviewing historical records, and questioning human scientists about their technological K. The emergency session of the Galactic Council had been ongoing for 7 days, and no consensus had emerged. The chamber that usually echoed with orderly debate now rang with shouting, accusations, and fear. Velshara watched from her position near the central podium, her skin pattern cycling through colors that reflected her own inner turmoil. They must be eliminated, declared Commander Zax of the Helian Imperium, his crystalline armor reflecting the angry red lights that filled his section. They possess technology that violates every prohibition we have established. They have admitted to developing weapons that can manipulate stars themselves. How is this even a debate? Because we would be committing genocide, countered Ambassador Yera of the Peaceful Collective, her gaseous form swirling with agitated patterns. We would be destroying a civilization not for what they have done, but for what they might do. We would become exactly what we claim to oppose. The Corvin delegate stood, his ancient mechanical body creaking with the movement. I have reviewed the historical records that humanity provided. The destruction of the precursors was indeed carried out by our ancestors. This is a shameful truth we have hidden from ourselves for 50,000 years. But perhaps our ancestors were wise. Perhaps they understood that some knowledge is too dangerous to exist. Or perhaps they were cowards, Velshara found herself saying, her voice carrying across the chamber before she could stop herself. Perhaps they destroyed the precursors because they were afraid, not because there was actual danger. The Arbiter, who had remained silent throughout most of the debate, finally spoke. His ancient voice was like wind through dead leaves. Captain Velshara, you have spent more time with humanity than anyone here. You have seen their technology, their civilization, their intentions. What is your assessment? Velshara moved to the central podium, aware that 800 civilizations were watching her every movement. I believe humanity is telling the truth about their intentions. They have had the capability to attack Council space for centuries, yet they have not. They have remained isolated, growing their own civilization while watching ours. If they wanted conquest, they could have struck long ago when we were unaware of their existence. Or they were waiting until they were strong enough to defeat us, Commander Zax interjected. Patience is a virtue in warfare. Then why reveal themselves at all? Velshara challenged. If they were planning conquest, why not remain hidden and strike without warning? Why give us time to prepare? Why offer diplomatic contact? Ambassador Threen's crystalline form shifted to show contemplation. The captain raises a fair point. Humanity's behavior does not match that of a species preparing for war. But it also does not change the fundamental problem. They possess technology that could destroy our civilization. Even if they have good intentions now, what about in 1,000 years? In 10,000? Can we trust that future humans will show the same restraint? Can we trust that future council members will not choose genocide again? Velshara countered. We cannot predict the future for humanity any more than we can predict it for ourselves. The debate continued in circles. Some delegates proposed complete isolation, sealing off human space with automated defense systems that would destroy any ship attempting to cross the boundary. Others suggested infiltration and sabotage, secretly destroying humanity's most dangerous technology. A few openly called for immediate military action before humanity grew even stronger. It was Ambassador Saris of the Mathematical Union who finally proposed a compromise. His species communicated in pure mathematics, requiring translation even for other delegates. But his proposal was elegant in its simplicity. We propose a test. The translator rendered his equations into words. Humanity claims to possess power but also restraint. Humanity claims to wish for peaceful coexistence. Let us create a situation that tests both these claims simultaneously. The Arbiter leaned forward with interest. Explain. There is a system on the edge of Council space known as Terminus, Ambassador Saris continued. 13 million sentient beings live there across 3 inhabited planets. 6 months ago, the system's star began exhibiting unusual behavior. Our best scientists have determined that the star is undergoing a catastrophic collapse that will destroy all 3 planets within 30 days. We have been attempting to evacuate the population, but our ships are not fast enough. We will save perhaps 3 million. The other 10 million will die. Silence fell across the chamber as delegates absorbed this information. Velshara had not heard about the Terminus crisis, which meant it was being kept classified to avoid panic. You propose to ask humanity for help? The Corvin delegate said slowly. To reveal the existence of a humanitarian disaster and see if they respond? More than that, Ambassador Saris replied. We ask them to solve a problem that we cannot. If they possess the stellar manipulation technology they claim, they might be able to stabilize the star. Or if not, their faster ships might evacuate the population more quickly. Either way, we learn valuable information about their capabilities and their character. Commander Zax stood immediately. This is madness. We would be inviting them to demonstrate their most dangerous technology in Council space. We would be showing them our weakness. We would be showing them our trust, Ambassador Yera corrected, and giving them the opportunity to earn ours. If they help, we have proof of their good intentions. If they refuse, we have justification for stronger measures. If they use the situation to threaten us, we will know they were dangerous all along. The debate over this new proposal was brief but intense. In the end, the vote was surprisingly decisive. 412 civilizations voted in favor, 301 against, with 134 abstaining. The test would proceed. Velshara was chosen to deliver the proposal to humanity personally. She made the journey back to human space with a small escort. Arriving at Gateway Station 23 days before the Terminus star was predicted to go critical, Dr. Chen met her at the airlock, and Velshara was struck by how tired the human looked. "Captain Velshara, I hope your return brings good news. I bring a proposal," Velshara said carefully, "and a request for help." She explained the Terminus situation, watching Dr. Chen's face carefully. The human's expression showed concern, calculation, and something that might have been sadness. When Velshara finished, Dr. Chen was quiet for a long moment. "You are testing us," she said finally. "You want to see if we will help, and you want to see what we are capable of when we do." "Yes," Velshara admitted. "There was no point in deception. The council is divided. Some want to destroy you. Some want to isolate you. Some want to welcome you. This proposal is a compromise, a chance for humanity to prove its intentions. And if we fail, if we cannot save the Terminus system, then 10 million people die and the council will likely vote to quarantine your space permanently." Dr. Chen's expression hardened. "That is a heavy burden to place on us, Captain. You are making millions of lives dependent on our success." "I am giving you a chance that the precursors never had," Velshara said quietly. "A chance to show the galaxy who you really are before fear and suspicion make that impossible." Dr. Chen turned away, staring out at the stars visible through the station's transparent walls. "I need to consult with our government. This decision is too important for me to make alone. Can you give me 6 hours?" Of course. Those 6 hours felt like an eternity. Velshara waited in the diplomatic quarters, her mind running through countless scenarios. Would humanity help? Could they help? And if they did, what would they reveal about themselves in the process? When Dr. Chen returned, she was not alone. With her walked a human male in a military uniform, tall and broad-shouldered with steel-gray hair and eyes that seemed to measure everything they saw. His bearing spoke of command, of decisions made under fire, of battles fought and won. "Captain Velshara," Dr. Chen said formally, "allow me to introduce Admiral Marcus Webb, commander of the Human Defense Fleet. The government has authorized him to respond to your proposal." Admiral Webb studied Velshara with an intensity that made her uncomfortable. Then he nodded once, as if reaching a decision. "Captain Velshara, humanity accepts your proposal. We will attempt to save the Terminus system. We will demonstrate our capabilities and our intentions, and we will do so in the hope that the galaxy will judge us fairly, based on our actions rather than its fears." "How many ships will you send?" Velshara asked. Admiral Webb's expression might have been a smile, though it was hard to tell. "One ship, Captain, mine, the Prometheus Unbound. She is our most advanced vessel, and I am the officer most qualified to command her in this situation. If humanity is to be judged, let it be judged on our best effort, not our average." "One ship to save 13 million people?" Velshara could not hide her doubt. "One ship," Admiral Webb confirmed. "You will see what humanity is capable of, Captain. All of it. The good and the terrifying. We will hold nothing back. Because if we are to have a future in this galaxy, it must be based on truth, not comfortable lies." He extended his hand in the human gesture of agreement, and after a moment's, the Prometheus Unbound did not look like a warship, but it did not look like any council vessel either. It was enormous, nearly 2 kilometers long, with a hull that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Strange geometries marked its surface, curves and angles that hurt to look at directly, as if the ship existed partially in dimensions that organic eyes could not properly perceive. Velshara stood on the bridge beside Admiral Webb, watching through the view screen as they approached the Terminus system. Around them, the bridge crew worked in eerie silence, their hands moving over controls that seemed to respond to thought as much as touch. Prometheus existed here as a holographic presence, coordinating systems too complex for organic minds to manage alone. 12 days at maximum council speed, Admiral Webb said quietly. We made the journey in 6. Our drives work on different principles than yours. We do not push against space-time. We convince space-time to bring us where we wish to go. That should be impossible, Velshara's science officer whispered. So should stars, Admiral Webb replied. Yet they burn. Impossibility is just possibility that we do not yet understand. The terminus system appeared on the view screen, and Velshara felt her breath catch. The star was dying, its surface roiling with massive eruptions that sent streams of plasma millions of kilometers into space. The 3 inhabited planets orbited within what would soon become a death zone, their cities visible as lights against the darkness. 13 million souls waiting for salvation or death. The Council evacuation fleet hung in orbit around the outermost planet, hundreds of ships working desperately to load refugees. But it was hopeless. Even Velshara could see that. Too many people, too few ships, too little time. Admiral Webb, a transmission came from the Council Fleet Commander. This is Fleet Commander Torin. We were told to expect 1 human ship. We hope for more. Commander Torin, Admiral Webb replied, his voice calm. 1 ship is sufficient. Please stand by and observe. Prometheus, give me system-wide communications. I want everyone to hear this. The AI's hologram flickered. Channel open, Admiral. You are broadcasting to all ships, all planets, and all major population centers in the system. Admiral Webb stood straight, his hands clasped behind his back, projecting confidence that Velshara was not sure she felt. People of the Terminus system, this is Admiral Marcus Webb of the Human Defense Fleet. Humanity has been asked by the Galactic Council to attempt to save your system. We will do everything in our power to fulfill this obligation. What you are about to witness may be frightening. Please remain calm and trust that we are here to help. Admiral, Prometheus said quietly, I have completed my analysis of the stellar anomaly. This is not a natural collapse. Every eye on the bridge turned to the AI. Admiral Webb's expression did not change, but Velshara saw his hands tighten into fists. Explain. The star has been artificially destabilized by a device embedded in its core. The energy signature matches precursor technology. Specifically, it matches a temporal manipulation weapon designed to accelerate stellar aging. Someone activated a precursor weapon either accidentally or deliberately. Silence fell across the bridge. Velshara felt her world tilting. How is that possible? There are no precursor ruins in this system. There was one, Prometheus replied, bringing up new data. Council mining operations 3 years ago uncovered a small facility on an asteroid. According to the records I am accessing, the facility was classified as an archaeological curiosity and left in place. 2 months ago, a mining accident caused a structural collapse that apparently triggered the device. Admiral Webb turned to face Velshara directly. Your people accidentally activated a weapon that is now killing 13 million of your citizens. A weapon created by the civilization that the Council exterminated. The irony is almost poetic. Velshara felt shame wash through her, turning her skin patterns to colors of distress. Can you stop it? I can do better than stop it, Admiral Webb said grimly. I can reverse it. But Captain Velshara, you need to understand what you are about to witness. Humanity has tested this technology in uninhabited systems, but never on this scale. We have avoided using it because we knew how it would be perceived. We are about to show the galaxy our most terrifying capability. Will it save the people? Yes. Then do it, Velshara said without hesitation. Save them, Admiral. Whatever it costs in fear, save them. Admiral Webb nodded once and turned to his crew. Battle stations. Deploy the chronometric stabilizers. Prometheus. Calculate the temporal field needed to reverse the stellar aging by approximately 800,000 years. That should return the star to a stable state. The bridge erupted into controlled chaos. Systems came online that Velshara's sensors could barely detect. The Prometheus Unbound moved closer to the dying star, far closer than any Council ship would dare, until they were skimming through the outer corona. Chronometric stabilizers deployed, a crew member reported. Temporal anchors established. Quantum field generators at full power. Admiral, Prometheus said, and for the first time Velshara heard something like fear in the AI's voice. I must remind you that what we are about to attempt violates causality on a massive scale. There will be consequences. There are always consequences, Admiral Webb replied. The question is whether we can live with them. Activate the field. The universe seemed to hold its breath. Then the Prometheus Unbound began to glow with a light that existed in colors Velshara had never seen before. The light spread outward, enveloping the star, and reality itself seemed to bend around the expanding field. Time reversed. Velshara watched in awe and terror as the star's violent eruptions slowed, stopped, and then began flowing backward. Plasma that had been expelled into space was drawn back to the surface. The chaotic churning of the stellar surface smoothed and calmed. The color of the star shifted from angry red back to stable yellow. On the planets below, people looked up at their sky and saw their sun healing itself, saw the death sentence that had hung over them for months being lifted in a matter of hours. The temporal field worked backward through causality itself, undoing the damage that the precursor weapon had caused. In the Council evacuation fleet, alarms were ringing. Ships' sensors were reporting impossible readings. Captains were shouting for explanations that their science officers could not provide. And through it all, the Prometheus Unbound held steady, channeling power that could rewrite the history of a star. Temporal reversal, reaching optimal point, Prometheus reported. The star has been returned to a state consistent with 800,000 years of stable fusion. The precursor device has been rendered inert by the temporal shift, preparing to collapse the field. Carefully, Admiral Webb cautioned. We do not want any temporal bleed into the inhabited planets. Keep the field contained to the stellar envelope. Understood. Collapsing field in 3, 2, 1 on mark. The impossible light faded. The star hung in space, calm and yellow and stable. 13 million people on 3 worlds were safe. The crisis was over, and the Galactic Council had just witnessed humanity casually manipulate time itself to save lives. Admiral Webb slumped in his command chair, suddenly looking decades older. Stand down from battle stations. Prometheus damage report. Minor overheating in the quantum field generators. 3 chronometric stabilizers will need replacement. Overall, the Prometheus Unbound is functioning within normal parameters. Admiral, we succeeded. Yes, Admiral Webb said quietly. We succeeded. And we just terrified the entire galaxy. Transmissions began flooding in from the Council fleet. Demands for explanation. Accusations of violating natural law. Questions about how such power was possible. And from the planets below, messages of gratitude mixed with fear, thanking their saviors while wondering what kind of beings could command time itself. Velshara looked at Admiral Webb and saw something in his eyes that she recognized. It was the look of someone who had just proven they were the most dangerous person in the room and hated that fact. You saved them, she said. We did, Admiral Webb agreed. And now the Council knows what humanity is capable of. They know we can manipulate stars, reverse time, and reshape reality according to our will. They know we possess technology that makes their greatest weapons look like children's toys. So tell me, Captain Velshara, did we just save ourselves or doom ourselves? Before Velshara could answer, a priority transmission came through from Council space. It was the Arbiter himself, his ancient face displayed on the view screen. Admiral Webb, the Arbiter said, his voice carrying weight of centuries. The Council has witnessed your actions at Terminus. We have seen you demonstrate power that we believed existed only in nightmares. We have seen you use that power not for conquest or destruction, but for salvation. The Council wishes to address you and all of humanity. Admiral Webb stood, straightening his uniform. I am listening, Arbiter. Thank you for watching, and comment for next part.